Oh, shit. Is it live? Okay. Sorry.
We're live.
Welcome back to the Occult Rejects. Today, we're stepping into one of the most famous and most misunderstood phrases of modern occult and spiritual culture, the Age of Aquarius. A lot of people know the phrase. They know the vibe of it. They connect it with awakening, rebellion, higher consciousness, a new world, the collapse of old systems, and the rise of something new. But the deeper you look, the stranger it gets, because the Age of Aquarius is not just one idea. It is several layers stacked on top of each other. At the base, it is real astronomical phenomenon, the precession of the equinoxes, the slow wobble of Earth's axis over immense stretches of time. From there, astrology turns that motion into the idea of great world ages. Then occultism and esoteric thought take it further, turning Aquarius into a symbol of transformation, knowledge, upheaval, transmission, and the coming of a new era. But Aquarius is not just an age. It is also a sign, a symbol, a myth, and an archetype. It is the 11th sign of the zodiac, the water bearer, but yet paradoxically, it is not a water sign at all, but a fixed air sign. So right away, Aquarius gives us a paradox. It pours water, but belongs to air. It suggests flow, but remains fixed. It points toward the collective, the future, and the movement of ideas. But it can also become detached, abstract, and cold. And behind that symbol, there is a story. In the clearest mythic reading, Aquarius is tied to, I'm going to probably screw this up, and I think Hellas has mentioned before, Ganymede? Is that his name?
Ganymede, yeah.
Yes. The Trojan youth taken to Olympus to become the cupbearer of the gods, the one who pours out divine drink. In older Mesopotamian layers, Aquarius was associated with Ea Enki, a god of water, wisdom, purification, and sacred knowledge. So even before Aquarius became a modern slogan, it already carried the imagery of heavenly transmission, ritual pouring, and the distribution of something life-giving or divine. So today, we're not just asking whether the Age of Aquarius has begun. We're also asking what Aquarius means in the first place. What is its story? What is the archetype? Where do these ideas come from historically? Why did this sign become linked with prophecy, reform, awakening networks, and future? Because that is where this gets interesting. So today we're going to break open the astronomy behind the age, the mythology behind the sign, the archetypes of Aquarius, the occult correspondences, the history of how this became a modern prophecy, and the deeper question of whether this so-called new world to come is a real turning of the heavens, a projection of human hope, or something stranger in between. And as we get into the show now, I'm finally done. We'll introduce the rest of the show. And today, this was Headless's idea. So we got Headless Giant joining us. What is going on, sir? How are you?
How you doing, guys? You can find me at the Headless Giant on YouTube, on Twitter, on Rumble, and on X. So X, Twitter, whatever. And tonight we're getting into a real banger. We got to talk about the precession of the equinoxes. We got to talk about all of these different aspects of the Age of Aquarius, because I think a lot of people think it's a bunch of hippie mumbo jumbo. And that is not the case. Like, there are some very real, perceptible signs of going into this Age of Aquarius that I think a lot of people have just completely missed. So let's go around the panel and let's see. Let's introduce ourselves. Go ahead, Ethan. Tell them what you've been working on.
Well, always great to talk with you guys. This is fun. No guests. We can just ramble at each other. Always appreciate you guys. Ethan Indigo Smith, on all the usual suspects of social media and writing articles and maybe even books sooner than later, frequently. So yeah, and most all my recent articles are on occultresearchinstitute.org. So, and again, appreciate all you guys.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Let's go to you, Jules.
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing this evening? Some milk. Yes, I do. I'm Jules, host of the Gray Pilled podcast, the Mississippi Mystic, the handsome Hierophant. Some people call me Julian now, so that's okay as well. Whatever you want to call me. Follow me on X at Gray Pill Pod. Go over to Patreon, support the show over there. We do Gods of the Morning Wood every Saturday morning. Tomorrow we'll be reading something about elves and Mysteries of the Druids, I think, on euhemerism, that chapter. Ooh. And then I'll think of the other book later. It's on the divine, something about elves, like I said. Not one of my picks, but that is a Saturday morning show. It is a Patreon show, and it's all I've been doing for the past few weeks. So been real busy as of late. You probably haven't seen me put out a lot of content, but you can go over and check me out on Rumble, YouTube, all that good stuff. And yeah, Patreon if you want to support the show. Thank you guys for having me tonight. It's good to see y'all again. Felt like I haven't seen y'all in weeks.
Yeah. You know, Hellas, I think it was funny how you mentioned, I think it was you, or was it you or Ethan, mentioned like kind of hippie stuff. That was actually going to be like, depending on how the show went, I actually had like my first question was going to be like, when you hear of the age of Aquarius, what is it that comes to mind? And I think a lot of people would be kind of like the whole hippie idea. And I do think that is due to that song, The Age of Aquarius, being very famous in that 1960s or 70s movie that it was in.
Right. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Right. Well, what does that mean? Right. So I think a lot of people think it has to do with, this sort of peace, love, hippie movement. And Aquarius is kind of this, whatever you want to do, man. But when you really dig into the symbol itself, it's not that way. Like, I think one of the main things we got to cover is precession of the equinoxes. And what does it mean to have a precession of the equinoxes? What is the great year? These are things that were discovered by the ancients, and they started to really dig down into the symbolic significance of these things. So when you're in a great astrological year, it's about 2,600 years between the changing of the equinox at the sun when the sun is coming up in the springtime, right? So this is like considered to be the old, right? April 1st. This is what they consider to be the new year way back when. So this is one of the reasons why they call them April Fools, because they would go by the old astrological year turning. That old astrological year turning goes way back thousands of years. It got changed over to January with the Julian calendar. Thanks a lot, buddy. But
sorry.
But
my name's
the idea is spring is a more natural time for there to be the changing of the year, because this is the start of the growing season and all the rest of these ideas having to do with new life. If you're doing it in the middle of the winter, it's like you still got a lot of winter to go, and you're not actually in the change of the seasons and all the rest of this stuff. So to me,
your spirit isn't reborn yet, dude. Yeah.
Right. Now, there are some times like February 2nd that are, very spiritually active and getting the sap to rise up in these animals. Like you can actually feel that on February 2nd. This is one of the most ancient rituals too. It's like a water holiday that brings up the sap. You can actually see it if you're into aura reading and stuff like that. But that's just one part of the changing into the spring. Now, when you've changed the spring equinox precession, that's because of the wobble of the earth, right? So the wobble of the earth, it changes the axis as you go through these years. And once it goes through a full turn of that wobble of the earth back into a different one of the zodiac signs, that's when you've got the changing of the cosmic year. Now, we were in the age of Pisces for a long time, and now it's right on the verge, right sort of in that boundary line. Because as you know, if you ever looked up at the stars, they don't really have a set, fixed, measured, limit between these different asterisms. So where is it actually? Well, you can kind of gauge it based off of the signs and the symbols that are coming up. One of the things that keeps coming up to me when it comes to the age of Aquarius is all of this radio wave transmission. We are in the age of radio wave transmission. I mean,
5G, baby.
Around, 5G, you've got Wi-Fi, you've got all of these things connecting people using radio wave transmissions. Now that is the watery air sign. Radio waves are like waves through the air.
I was just going to say how I even said before, which is weird when you start looking at water and air, how it's like, supposed to be fixed, but then it goes with the flow. I would even say the certain frequency of that wave would cover all that right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Hey,
yeah.
February 2nd, that's Imbolc.
That's Imbolc, yes.
Imbolc, okay.
Very sacred,
It's
overlooked holiday.
it's important to point out too, it's not it's far removed from hippy dippy as it can be, in the sense that the age of Pisces began around the time when our calendars flip from counting down to counting up, right? Like, so it's basically, our calendar system is arguably based on the beginning of the age of Aquarius and the ending of Pisces, right?
Piscean age. Now, what the ancients also saw with these grand, years of 2,600 years, is that the different religions would change over the planet, right? And so you've got the age of the ram talked about in the Bible with Aaron blowing the ram's horn. And then you've got the age of the bull with the Egyptians talking about the golden calf and all of these things as transitions from one form of religion to another. And now with, the age of Pisces, we see the 5 loaves and 2 fish, right? So these are asterisms that have been put into our religious systems as a way of condensing and explaining these different changes in the grand astral year. So this changes people's belief system. This is another reason why you see the hippies sort of glomming on to this idea, is because they wanted a massive change in ideals. The problem is that they don't see themselves as a product of the culture, right? So everything they're saying is coming from the perspective of people in the 1960s who believe some sort of new generation of flower children is coming about. But is that really the case? Does that really apply to these symbols? In the previous age, the age of Pisces, it's ruled by the sign of Pisces, and the ruler of the sign of Pisces is Jupiter, the Jupiterian age, one of expansion, one of growth, one that would allow for hippies to exist in a state that doesn't mean you have to be useful anymore. The ruler of the age of Aquarius is Saturn. This is a very different concept that I think a lot of these hippies were missing.
Right there, it may not be all hippies and rainbows and sunshine.
What does that mean? I mean, look, they've been throwing up the opposite of peace with the peace sign. It's the algae. It's the rune for protection, right? When used upside down, they've been throwing it. We've talked about this with wars being quite literally sigil wars.
Crowley gave Churchill the peace sign to use against the swastika.
Here we fucking go, right there. And I mean, this used to be the finger in England, I think, right? Way back in the day, when people would go like "fuck you," they would do the 2 fingers. It meant like victory or something, right?
Yeah. You know what I was reading online? I don't know if this is true. The middle finger pointing at somebody back in the day, where it started like this, was actually a way to point out a gay person.
Oh,
I believe the
you use your middle finger. I'm pointing at
but Ethan,
the using of the 2 fingers for the of the middle finger was because there was an order by one king of England or another of his people, essentially, that were fighting against him, and they could pull their arrows with the 2 fingers and fight back, and they were all ordered to have them cleaved off and not killed, but that was a punishment. And the ones that still had their finger were like, basically, F you, right? I still got my hands, right? I believe there is a relationship with that.
Absolutely. But these signs and symbols are really emblematic of the mind state of the people in those eras. It becomes, once you dig into the ancient pagan culture, it becomes very hard to put yourself into their mind state. You don't really have that perspective. And, this is where you get the idea of the past being a foreign country, right? So we can look back into the past in England and be like, what were these people thinking? This doesn't make any sense to us. You've got to get deeper and deeper into the context to really understand all of these differences. And the further back you go, the more confusing and more alien those concepts get, right? So what we have to do is realize that these different changing eras really do have an effect on culture. So in the age of Pisces, right, this is under the era of Jupiter expansion, And you've got Pisces, the two fish, being led around by the tail, right? It's social control using expansion or love, weaponized love, right? That's kind of what is emblematic of this age of Pisces, right? So we have the start of it with Jesus, and Jesus is giving that love out to everybody. Everybody can have love. And you see in the opposite direction, you see all of these different church sects that are fighting against each other constantly. Even in 167 BC or AD, you've got this guy named Celsus, who was coming from a previous era of understanding, looking at these different churches and saying, hey, these guys fight with each other all the time. They don't have a single good word to say about each other. They actually only care about their own sect, and they fill their followers with a bunch of lies about all the other Christian sects. We haven't ever exited that. That's sort of like the base understanding for this entire era that we have right now. Is constantly they'll say, oh, Christianity is the truth, just not those guys. Go kill those guys, right? So it's a kind of weaponized love affair.
That's mind-blowing, Edlis. Really awesome observation. The Buddhists decry the idea. Oh, am I going?
Yeah, you're good. You're good now.
How an exceptional observation that was. And it reminds me of the Buddhists decry passion because it kind of leads to this love at all costs that you're pointing out. And instead, they try to build on compassion, which certainly doesn't have that same modality. But excellent observation, dude.
I would even say some of those things you said, Headless, would still be like stuck in the Pisces idea.
Exactly.
Yeah, like even like, because I had stuff down, and it's like, I wanted to show like the difference between Pisces and Aquarius. And for Pisces, I had like faith, suffering, sacrifice, redemption, devotion, mysticism a little bit. In Aquarius, I mean, I have like more like intellect, systems, reform, networks, distributed knowledge. So like some of the things you were mentioning, I would still see as being stuck in the old era, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Distributed knowledge, that's a big factor. Go ahead, Jules.
Again, just real quick, I think that would even fit in again with what we were talking about, how you were saying all this stuff going around in the airways. It's all information just being packeted around.
I want to kind of, and this is out of the blue, but we used the word faggot earlier, and me and Headless were talking, and I go, hey, so faggot meaning a bundle of sticks. What was also a bundle of sticks in the ancient times? The fasci. That was the symbol for the folk or the Volk, the tribes of these European nations being together. Also the fashionists, right? And so you get into that and like the etymology and all that, and now it means faggot means a gay guy. And so it's like I don't know. That's a theory of mine that I threw out there a couple weeks ago, and so I figured I'd bring it back up.
It's an important inversion. I think a lot of conspiracy podcasters have caught on to the idea that we're in the age of inverted symbols, right? So the symbols that meant something to the people before, the classical era and all the rest of that stuff kind of got turned on their head when you look at the age of Pisces. So everything before the age of Pisces got demonized as being this horrible, horrible thing. You dig into it, you look at the original sources, and you're like, what are you talking about? It was just a way to have that social pressure on the people who might want to go back to a more simplistic era where things made sense.
Yeah. And
Do you think
that's basically what I mean, though. Yeah, is the inversion of the symbols, it meaning something that used to be for unity and masculinity. Now, that word is translated into something that is something effeminate and gross.
The opposite.
Yeah, I would actually say what you were saying to me kind of sounds like, I'm wondering if it's more along the lines of like people with this whole satanic panic realizing like, wait, maybe it isn't all about all that. Maybe it's not all dicks and demons. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like you figured that out.
Hear me out on the whole dicks thing, dude. It's like, if these people want to worship dicks, they will quite literally build a dick statue. I mean, why wouldn't they? You know, I know the phallus and, you know, the phallic symbolism is very ancient, and the obelisk is kind of indicative of that, but it means other things.
No, even in Japan,
Right.
they literally make a dick thing. Like, you're not going to mistake that with an
Right.
obelisk. It's shaped like a fucking dick.
Like, I think these people would be making golden dick idols to, like, you know, and I'm sure there's one out there. I mean, I'm not going to go looking for it, but it's there probably, you know.
Well, I think that's interesting too, because what you'll find is that the spiritualism of the Piscean era, and this goes back to a lot of this where we find our grounding in knowledge, right? You're talking about distributed intelligence. Well, where they found their grounding in knowledge in the Piscean era is in a single source, right? Everything has to be found in that single monotheistic source. Right. And the only way that you could understand that single monotheistic source is through the opposing ideas of good and evil. Right. The only way you can really grasp and understand monotheism is by thinking about good and evil. Instead of actually looking at what people do, you have to brand everything they do with these metaphysical qualifiers of either good or evil. So everybody sort of gets branded as one of these two things. This is why the two fish are so important when it comes to the spiritual duality. Right? You've got the good fish and then you've got the evil fish, but really they're connected by the tail.
Could you even be non-biased in the world, like in a thinking like that? You know what I'm saying? You know how it is to look at things, and if everything's just always good and evil and there's no in between, there's never good. You always had to have picked.
That's the beauty of, like, kind of recognizing you do recognize that there is a middle path. I think that you can kind of you know, see between the lines, so to say. But sorry, let's go ahead.
I was going to say, as we're going into this, Aquarian era, we're seeing the ideas of metaphysical grounding in a single solitary source, like the tag argument that Jay Dyer makes all the time. That's fading away. Like, they're actually looking at distributed intelligence models like constructivism as a philosophical basis for understanding. So with constructivism, what you're doing is you're having an observation, you're making judgments based upon that observation, and then you are expressing what those observations have taught you. That's a constructivist model. Whereas where you've got the metaphysically grounded model, everything has to come from a single source. With the distributed intelligence model, you've got intelligent sources of reactivity all throughout the entire universe. It's more grounded in matter itself, right? So the matter becomes the basis for everything spiritual, as opposed to the spiritual being the basis for everything material. That switch is going to be a huge thing. And we see that now happening with computer vision. As we've talked about on the show before, computer vision is saying, hey, no, it's the observation that is creating consciousness. It's the observation. It's the interaction between this stuff that creates higher forms of intelligence.
You have to have, you can't have one without the other, right? It's that form of balance. And this is what Hall says in one of his treatises. He says, if you were to eliminate Satan completely, the Lucifer angels would I think known as the seraphim, right, would destroy the world. They would eat up, like they would burn everything. He says something along the lines of that they would burn up the earth, probably the people on it, but it being probably a metaphysical burning or whatever, right, of the soul or something, but that there is this dualistic kind of balance to everything. And it's like, if it has to stay this way, and folks want to make it, or people think folks that want to, they want to go all bad or all good. And I don't know if that, maybe some people, but
well, with the constructivist model, I think it's far more intelligent when it comes to morality, because morality becomes a function of where you belong in society, right? People have different views of what is good and what is evil based upon which groups that they belong to. Mm. The problem is that nobody actually acknowledges that, right? They all say, oh, it's all good or it's all bad. So with the constructivist model, you're saying, no, your good and bad is influenced by the groups or the identity that you belong to. Right? That would be more particularist constructivism. So what they're saying is that you have this kind of in-group preference which determines your morality, which I think is far more realistic than thinking that there is this all-powerful, all-pervading good and evil forces in the universe, kind of like Star Wars, where you've got the good side of the force and the evil side of the force, and that they're always battling against each other to get supremacy over the whole thing. These are products of the groups that you belong to. These are the products of the identities that you claim.
And yeah, it's the macrocosm too, right? Towards the microcosm, which is us, and we are both of those things too. We're both good and bad. No one, even if you're saved, whatever, you're not completely all the, good, right? You still have, I mean,
what's really interesting? I'm sitting here listening to what you guys are saying, and this is really making me think of how like religion. I feel like with some people, they'll just start with this whole like good guy, like you're saying, like there's this whole crazy story that's like going on. I guess there's these entities just sitting somewhere like devising, like, how are we going to do this? And like, it says somehow this has creeped into politics. Oh, this guy's playing 7D chess. Shut the fuck up, you retard.
Dude, Trump is a chaos magician, and I think we know who he's
something this makes me think about the timing, certainly, of the age of Aquarius beginning, the Pisces age beginning is so monotheistic. It's like when Jesus was alive, and that's when monotheism really began its expansion. And maybe, I think this is true with all kind of astrological concepts, is like there's a lag with the effects of one system and the effects of another, right? But it makes me think of the biblical reform, where they got rid of the Asherah pole. And how do you even know like what evil or what good is without evil, as we're kind of pointing out before? And same thing with this masculine desert storm god of destruction and creation through destruction. How do we even know what that is without Asherah? And Asherah got totally taken away, and she was his divine feminine counterpart. And in a kind of abstract, if you have Yahweh as one polarity, creation and destruction in negative terms, you could have Asherah as the other form of conceptuality, the other polarity as creation and destruction in positive terms. And I think this is a really big problem with how we approach things today, in so many ideas of war on drugs, war on fat, war on this. Like, just take it. Isn't there another way besides war?
Well, again, like what you're talking about is kind of the
we don't
usually
even consider it, right? But the Asherah pole.
Are you there?
Ethan.
Sorry, I was just wrapping things up, but the Asherah polarity, I think, is a great way to understand the entirety of the Yahweh idea, as useful in itself, but not the only form of this conceptuality beyond the person. And it reminds me, this destruction of the polarity, or the removal of the polarity in that case, reminds me of what we're going through just kind of recently. There's two great polarities of what was our new system. It's not this. No, that's Yahweh. That he is the donkey. I think it's important to know that it's a great thing. It's actually funny, but bug out on this. Yahweh was created as a contrast to Egyptian cosmology, and their donkey-headed god, right, was Set, the god of chaos. And Set is the god of chaotic creation and destruction. Dude. Yes. As I was just stating, this polarity is it's a useful consciousness formation, but it's not the only one. As soon as we get into where it's the only one, then we're in this, ruled by signs and symbols type of thing. But the donkey-headed god was kind of used to mock the Egyptians primarily at first.
Yes,
And
in complete opposition to Osiris.
Right.
Being
Right.
the story of the
Complete
Exodus with the Pharaoh drowning, that
to
was
positivity and re-rising and rejuvenation and all these positive concepts that are in that esoteric story, right? Exactly, yeah. And Ashura kind of has a parallels with that too. But it reminds me of just real quick that like we kind of made our way into this capitalist system rather than monotheist system over the last 2,000 years. And then the symbols of our capitalist system were the World Trade Center, and they were destroyed. So I feel like the symbolism of the duality of polarity, Ashura and Yahweh, or World Trade Centers 1 and 2, are similar and correspond with this kind of
I got so many decodes on this
transformation, if you will, or hijacking. The hijacking of it, right? So thanks.
Right. So you brought up Yahweh as being the God of both chaos and order. Well, Isaiah 45:7 spells it out in black and white. Isaiah 45:7 says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So this is a very different conception from what we have in the popular Christian mythos, which is actually God is against evil. It's like, no, actually all the evil comes from him. So, when they say, well, evil is just the devoid of God, it's like, actually, Isaiah 45:7 really kind of throws that away. So what they're not understanding is that there's a cyclicality that they constantly play into. And one of the good examples is recently on the Alex Jones show, he had a miracle happen. So he had an axe.
The fucking battle axe? Oh my God. If this isn't acting, dude, I don't know what is. Oh God. I was laughing.
You don't even know the half of it. So this comes from Jeremiah 51:20. 51:20.
But what Ethan was saying about the similarities between Yahweh and Set, dude, it's something that we've been actually bringing up here and there on the Rustic Gods show. We got one coming soon, guys. Don't worry, this next week. Yeah, man, it's there. It's there, and it's clear. It's clear. And if y'all didn't see, Yahweh had spots on him. Set was sometimes known to have parts of a leopard on him, right? So,
leopard spots. Those represent the stars.
Yeah. And the anteater nose that Yahweh had in that picture. Set was also known to have that as well. So,
that gets really deep. It says, so this is the verse that they're referring to in that Alex Jones clip. It says, you are my war club. Now, the war club in some translations is a battle axe. My weapon for battle. With you, I will shatter the nations. Now, this nations word is interesting because it's translated from the Hebrew word for goyim. I shatter the goyim. With you, I destroy kingdoms. So in him receiving this battle axe and being given the ability to destroy his own people, right? So this is the miracle he's talking about. I've been given the tool that's going to be used to destroy my own people. This is the miracle. Yay, Alex Jones. He got a sign from the God who creates destruction. But, of course, he doesn't read too much into it because it's the word of God, and I don't need to think about these sort of things. But
can we play the video?
Immediately
he starts crying.
Yes.
And that's when I started laughing because I was like, dude, this is faker than when he snuck into Bohemian Grove.
Yeah.
He was invited, everyone.
Well,
if you don't know that by now, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Immediately after this video, Trump comes out with his Truth Social tweet where he's calling Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, all these people low IQ losers. And his response to it is, look at this low IQ battle axe that I'm going to use to destroy my own people with. It's like, come on, dude. It's like that kind of proves the point here, dude. All you're doing is making people dumber when they believe. Because, here's the problem. How does voodoo work? You got to believe in it for it to work on you. Well, how's the Bible work? You got to believe in it for it to work on you. So all of these people engaging in this prophetic, prognostication and all the rest of this stuff, they're bringing about their eventual downfall, and they all say it's a good thing that they will eventually be destroyed and ruled by their Jewish overlords, which will be the Messianic age. And it's like, don't you understand that all of these verses in Isaiah
like they haven't read the whole
destroying
story.
you?
It's like they haven't read the whole story.
They just think it's glorious. Yeah, they think it's glorious that they're going to be destroyed, and they all agree with it.
They think it's like an order by God.
Maybe it's interpretation.
It's an order by God.
Some people, some people.
It's an order by God. How do you go against an order by God? How do you go against the God you believe in? All powerful, almighty. And this is the spiritualism of the age. Instead of thinking that the material world is what's giving birth to the spirit and giving birth to these higher realms of consciousness, they see it as the higher realms of consciousness are directly impacting them all the time. So they don't have sort of that interplay between these two ideas. And essentially, they're creating their own destruction and their own downfall. This was known about before the Piscean age. Like, they kind of understood, hey, we're kind of creating this reality, and we're doing the things that make us the fingers of God. Now it's the exact opposite. It's like, I have no choice but to do what God has willed me to do.
The current situation kind of seems so dark that things point in the direction of all these astrological apocalyptic things occurring. But they always have been in that modality, right? They've always been kind of like looking for the order of operations for the destruction, whether it was one century or another. There were certain people looking at things that with that perspective only, right?
Well, even the Jewish calendar, which only spans 6,000 years, it's coming to an end soon. And it's coming to an end in an age that's ruled by Saturn, right? We see the black cube everywhere. So if you look up Saturn and the Golden Age.
6,000.
Oh, that's something I wanted to mention just real quick while you're bringing up Saturn. There was just one thing I wanted to say. Even with Aquarius, obviously, rules over Saturn. And, we're talking about polarity before. And from my opinion, there is there is some sort of polarity with Saturn, but I think like the part that gets missed, like, with Saturn, I do think there is the death and then the rebirth. And I think those are two separate things. But I think in the middle is that alchemical change in between those two happening, the transformation. And I think sometimes that's what gets totally lost.
Right, because they have no concept of rebirth into matter. Right. So Saturn in the Golden Age. So if we look at this, what does this sound like? The Golden Age of Saturn, or Saturnia Regia, was a mythical era in Roman mythology characterized by peace, agricultural abundance, social equality under the reign of the god Saturn. What does that sound like? During this time, humanity lived without laws, greed, labor, reflecting an idyllic state of nature. Does that sound like what the end times or when Jesus' rule on the earth is supposed to be? It's not a coincidence, because it's also in the book of Genesis, right? When they were living in the Garden of Eden with God, with El, with Yahweh, right? So he's associated with agriculture, liberation, time conflated with the Greek titan Kronos. He was believed to have brought civilization to Italy, an era of perpetual spring where the earth brought forth food freely and people live simply and harmoniously. We've lost this perspective on the Saturnian age entirely. With the death of the Roman era, we just think the Saturnian age is a thing that only applies to the Bible. This is why you see black cubes everywhere. They're wanting to return to the Saturnian era, the Saturnian epoch of everything being free and wonderful and good. And so all these people say, oh, that's a black cube of Saturn. They have no idea what it means. They have absolutely no clue what they're even pointing at. It's crazy to me.
The mathematics involved in a cube in esotericism is insane.
Absolutely. And you see the cube of Saturn on top of the planet itself, turned on its edge. Oh, did Ethan drop out?
Yeah, bad connection. I'll probably be back.
But they're all demonizing the era of Saturn while at the same time praising the era of Saturn. right? They're saying, oh, it's these Saturnian cube worshipers. And it's like, you're a Saturnian cube worshiper too. You just don't understand it. It's right there in the Bible. If you're able to understand the syncretisms that were going on in the Mediterranean world, you'd instantly recognize what the Edenic era is and what the age of the returned Jesus is. It's the Saturnian era. Well, guess what? That 6,000-year cycle is ending, so they believe they're coming into their Saturnian era where they can reign with all of these verses in Isaiah and Jeremiah and all the rest of the stuff about the only way you can enter the Saturnian era is by destroying all the other nations. You've got to kill them completely. That's how you enter into this golden era. Well, why are we following that book? That doesn't make any sense.
I agree with that.
Hey, Ethan.
Oh, is he back?
You good, dude?
He's back. He's having connection issues.
Uh-oh.
I'm back.
Awesome.
Hopefully I don't skip out again.
I think you're all right.
Very good, sir.
But I mean, this is
Go
one
ahead.
of the things that we constantly see having to do with the age of Aquarius. This is what those hippies were talking about too. It's like, well, it's going to be ruled by Saturn, so it's going to be kind of like this other stuff. Well, there's a lot more to it than that. And this golden era might be something different from what all of these cube worshipers are expecting. And I kind of think that's a good thing. No more weaponized love, no more of this communistic sort of totalitarianism. That's kind of a pleasant change, you know,
Yeah.
but who knows? I hope so.
It's potential for sure.
And, you know, Christianity did give us communism. I'm tired of people saying that it didn't. It's right there in the book. You can read about Ananias and Sapphira in Acts chapter 5, verses 1 through 11, where, oh, they didn't sell all of their goods or they kept some of it for themselves. So Yahweh had to kill them on the site. And then Peter used that as a tool to scare the rest of the followers of Jesus into giving everything they had over to the church. It's like, what are you thinking, people? Just read it with your own eyes.
Ooh.
And the Soviet system kind of had this like God as the state, right? Like, and it was very much oriented in that same like direction as you're pointing out, but it was the state as the Godhead.
Well, I mean, like everybody wants to blame shift away from what the people in Israel are doing right now to somehow Babylon. And it's like, where do you think they picked up a lot of this theology from? Like, it doesn't have to be the Iraqis. You guys keep blaming Babylon and the Iraqis, but the people who picked up all of that stuff and put that into their book in the Septuagint, which was written at around 120 to 160 BC. We're not talking about 3,000 years ago. We're talking about 120 to 160 BC is when the Septuagint was compiled. They had that conception from the surrounding culture. So if they carried anything over from Babylon, it would still be them and not the Babylonians, because the Babylonians were completely gone by that time. It was the Persians over there.
Yeah.
So why do we keep blaming Babylon? It was, you know, they were stories by that time. It was already Persian. It was deep into the Hellenistic era. But no, it's got to be 3,000 years old. It's the same thing with Edom. I don't know how many of you guys have seen the people spurging out over Edom. Do you know where
No.
Edom is?
Who's
Oh.
spurging?
A lot
They're
of Christians.
Edom maxing?
Yeah, they're Edom maxing. So
Okay.
a lot of Christians believe the Old Testament when they're talking about Esau going into Edom and then mixing with the Canaanite women. And he created the kingdom of Edom, which was pure evil. Edom is Petra. You guys have seen the lost city of Petra with the big giant stone carvings where they have, right. Well, that's Edom. So they're spurging about Edom and not even knowing what it is. They have a grudge against people who aren't even there anymore. And they're
Right.
saying these Edomites are controlling the whole world. And they don't even know that it's Petra. You know, even in their own book of Revelations, they say that all of the believers will be gathered in the city of Petra to be protected from the Gog and Magog war, because, you know, Petra's in a valley that is actually protected on all sides by rock. So it makes sense why people would gather there to be protected from a nuclear war or whatever. Well, that's still the place where you say all of the evil in the Bible comes from. It's like, these are the Edomites. How does that make sense? Well, they don't have to square it because all they have to do is repeat it. And that's the problem I see with the Piscean age. It's like one fish repeating what the other fish is saying and going back and forth and making this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy based upon somebody else's stories. Like, why are we obsessed with things that have gone on in the Middle East 2,000 years ago? That has nothing to do with our history.
Apparently, those people from Petra were like really rugged nomads. You know, they traveled with a tent and had maybe this and that, and knew where these water wells were, and were able to survive. And anyone who tried to I died out again. I was saying, anyone who tried to mess with the people from Petra, they always got their ass kicked.
Yep.
Well, they got their wells poisoned? Is that what you're saying?
So,
they tried. They couldn't find the well.
I think they always like beat any invader up, basically, essentially, and might be this like leftover hatred for them being tough, and yeah,
exactly.
It doesn't affect anything, right? It makes no sense. It isn't pertinent to anything.
The Edomites didn't let the Jewish people into their region and take all of their stuff. That's why they have a beef with them.
Talking about the Edomites. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay,
several groups tried to conquer them? Romans, Greeks, maybe.
Amalek. You're right. They just refer to them. They group them up by these names, right?
Right. And so it's like, guys, you're carrying grudges that aren't even yours from thousands of years ago that have nothing to do with you. And when you point it out to them, they're like, well, actually, no, this is how they're controlling the world today. It's this Babylonian money magic. It's like, Iraqis aren't controlling your dollar. I'm sorry. What are you thinking? It has nothing to do with this book. You're not looking at it with any kind of perspective because you think the guys in the Old Testament were all the good guys. It's that same metaphysical grounding issue.
And people want to say, well, I'm not fucking dying for Israel. And I'm like, are you spiritually dying for Israel?
You sure about that?
Yeah.
Or are you not? I mean,
we need another crusade. Why do you want to go to Israel? Don't we have holy land in our area? Why can't we?
Yeah, we need to just let's leave them alone, man.
Right.
You know, because and people are seeing now, it's the same people who have been supporting, Trump for the past 8 years or whatever, are now the ones that are going to be calling him the Antichrist, probably. You know what I mean? And they'll be the ones leading that narrative as well. So they'll have the controlled op in order, you know.
But this kind of exemplifies a little bit of the tribalism that goes along with the Aquarian age, right? So they talk about an age of peace where people can come together again. What they're talking about is you can no longer divide them against each other, kind of like with the Piscean fish. So when you see people like Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones and all of these other people who are originally fully on board with the Trump train, hopping off the Trump train because they have a more tribal loyalty, that shows that they're less able to be pressured by the top-down social pressure that comes along with the Piscean era. They have more of a tribal loyalty to themselves than to this authority figure, which is a very good sign in my eyes. But, they're still using the vernacular and the vocabulary of the Piscean age to try and justify why they're doing that, which is another big problem because they'll just get taken in by the next big con man.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know where our language comes from. I mean, we do, obviously, or we're trying to learn, right? But most people don't. They're just given, they learn what they're given. That's kind of unfortunate. And that's why it's very suppressed, all that information. I didn't know about dude, if you would have asked me 5 years ago about European culture and the history, I would not have known this, right? Like being in conspiracy and dude, holy shit. It can change so much just knowing, where we come from and who's been writing history and the bias and lens that history has been written from, right? It's clear as day. and you look, to the victors go the spoils, right? So.
Well, I mean, there's so much that we can learn from the Orphic hymn to Kronos that I think everybody is overlooking because, again, the Piscean age is the era of Kronos or Saturn. So let me see if I can pull this up so you guys can see it. But it is amazing how accurate this is to the idea of time and what maybe we might be going into. Let me share my screen here. Did you have something there, Nick?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a star card. I just wanted to bring that up at some point because Aquarius does go with that. And I do think like, again, I would even say the transmission stuff. You would see that with the cups, the water, and the flow. My experience. The weird thing about it is how you have like with this, you have like an 8-pointed star, and then you have a seven stars around it. If you saw it going Kabbalistically, that would be like the male and the female in 1, 2, which when you start looking at this, I was even wondering, like, is this even like almost an androgynous figure? I can't tell. Or is it just like, not a manly based chick? I don't know. But one thing I was thinking about, this whole thing with Saturn and like the death, and the rebirth and all that, just to go even back to my experience, I always say that whole thing that leads up to me coming to some understanding all starts off with a star in the distance. So, and then, the whole water in the abyss, I guess. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Because then I could see how, like, transmission, knowledge, and understanding would then come from having this experience. And it'd be more of, like, the mind. More of, air, even though there's water in the symbol.
Right. Well, you can see that both of those cups she's pouring out are doing so through the air, right? So there's also that idea that there's this watery air, and the cup bearer, I'm sure we're going to get into it, but this goes into where the sign comes from and how they created it, having to do with the cup bearer of Zeus, the Edomite, right? So I see a lot of comparisons with Epstein, right? And the Edomites. I mean, this is sort of like a big thing. The whole country's freaking out over the Edomites in power right now. And we're seeing that as the symbol of, the Aquarian age coming to fruition. Epstein is not going away. Melania Trump just made a statement the other day about, well, I didn't have anything to do with Epstein. And it's like, wait a second.
It's funny. You guys were saying something before, and I did want to add this in, and I'm not like denying. What you were saying with like these people all of a sudden turning on Trump. But I do question. Hold on, calm down, Julian.
Sorry.
Just my opinion. A lot of this stuff I think is all just a script, and I think these people are already jumping board to the next continuing thing. Because you just mentioned Melania Trump, and now there's footage of him trying to hold her hand, and she won't hold his hand. Like, we're already getting the script. Something's going to happen. J.D. Vance was already given like $20 million. Obviously, he's going to be president at some point. He took it up the ass from Peter Thiel, and he got paid money, so he's going to be president.
Big time, right? They're script writers. That's what all of this stuff comes down to.
I think Thiel's going to get, Vance. Vance Thiel's buddy is going to get thrown under the bus as the failure for the current talks, and then Trump's going to cast a version on him for X, Y, and Z after that.
It's going to be Hegseth and Vance that get all of the blame because they're going to try and keep it. I mean, Trump is just that petty.
Yep, they're just there for blame.
Go ahead, Jules. He's dying to say something now.
Oh, dude, it's all good. It's nothing I have to say. Meat Cavern, thank you for the $50 donation.
Oh shit! Look at that. Okay.
He said, "Mail me stickers, faggot," and then said, "Need stickers? Lick the stamp, Jules." And then another 5. And that was 2010. 5 stamps, stickers. Lick the stamp now, Julie. Do you want me to just lick something, dude? I don't
Once
know.
you like a stick.
Stickers.
Yeah.
Put my stickers in the mail. Meat Cavern? God damn it. I didn't want to use it. I'm sorry. I got you, dude. I got
Oh shit.
I got some packs going out. There's some fat packs. It's good shit.
Those are nice.
And I've been, dude, I got my ass ran at work. It's like literally just fucking, I've just been getting, I feel like I've been getting the shit kicked out of me at the end of the day. But anyway, sorry, Nick. I don't want to hijack your show.
No,
dude.
you're good.
No,
I thought it was something that we.
I haven't gotten Rumble rants in a while. Meat Cavern, thank you, dude. Thank
How
you.
much does Rumble take for the?
It's too much. It's fucked
yeah,
up.
you know, it's just real quick, just for people listening on both our channels. I believe me, you're gonna send me a super chat. I think that's fucking awesome. I really appreciate it. But I'm just gonna keep it real. You send a super chat on YouTube and Rumble. I know for YouTube they are taking 30-something%. I'm gonna keep it real. When Howard sent $500 about a month ago, YouTube got 200. YouTube got 200 of that.
Get the fuck out of here.
If you're feeling that generous, seriously, throw it into a Cash App, please.
Yeah.
Because you're actually giving YouTube a fuck ton of money for nothing.
Thank you, Howard, dude. Fucking A, Howard. Howard's the man. Howard shows up to all the Morningwood shows. Thank you, Howard.
Just to be in the middle of a transaction, they take a third. That's sick.
That's awesome, though, dude. That you have people.
Yeah, dude. I almost fell out of the chair.
I just got to 1,000 on YouTube, so I think I have to set something up to where people can do super chats. I don't know. I'm pretty sure. So, thank you again, Meat Cavern. Nick, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're good. No, you're good. Please mention that. I mean, the guy just threw you some money. Say something on the show.
Yeah, no, but I started making noises. So
Oh no, I thought you were like you connected the dot with something. I was like,
no, far from it.
Let me just finish.
You guys are talking about astrology, and I am dumb. Very dumb. I haven't had a 101 on it. I haven't done deep dives on it. I know about the 12 zodiac and the symbolism with the 12 and how, you know, the astrotheology stuff. I'm familiar with that. And I can recognize the zodiacal signs. But besides that, you guys, you're killing it. So.
Well, I got this right here. So this is the Orphic hymn to Kronos. Now, this is the original conception of how they saw Kronos as opposed to this evil, terrible tyrant that we get today in modern podcasts and stuff. So, ethereal father, mighty titan here, great fire of gods and men whom all revere. Endued with various counsel, that means that a lot of different forces are talking to him, pure and strong, to whom perfection and decrease belong. That sounds like entropy to me. Consumed by thee, all forms that hourly die.
Well, avarice is the vice of Saturn anyway. Which would be what you just said.
Which would be YouTube, right? We're just talking about the avarice of YouTube. That's a huge percentage that they're taking away from all of these different creators, and they're the watery air sign, so go figure. By thee restored, again, birth and death and rebirth, by thee restored their former place supply. So this is rebirth right there. The world immense in everlasting chains, right? Chains of time, everything dies. Strong and ineffable thy power contains, right? So all of this stuff is contained by time. Father of vast eternity divine, again, back to time. Almighty Saturn, various speeches thine. So this is also sort of like the god of all these different languages, right? Blossom of the earth and of the starry skies, husband of Rhea, and this is a misprint. It's supposed to be Prometheus wise. So he is husband of Rhea and Prometheus wise. Prometheus means forethought, and Rhea is also known as Kybele. Obstetric nature. So this is not just birth or not just death, but also birth. Venerable root. And I think that's one of the most important things because everybody is interested about the roots of where all of this stuff that exists in our society is coming from which the various forms of being shoot. right? So everything comes from a root. You've got to dig down to figure out exactly where it's coming from. No, and this is actually kind of very evolutionary speaking. Like if you're talking about evolution, they just sort of mention it right here in passing. You know, they kind of had that concept. No parts peculiar can thy power enclose. So he's saying, if you're strange or you're different, he's not the guy for you. Diffuse through all from which the world arose. Diffuse through all. So they're saying he's in everything, right? And Saturn is also the god of bones, right? So anytime you see the Grim Reaper or these bones or the scythe, that's all Saturnian. O best of beings of a subtle mind, right? Not just direct, but also a lot of subtlety. Propitious, which means to give and to receive. Here to holy prayers incline. This is why you've got all of these sacrifices going on. The sacrificial tenets of the Saturnian cube. The sacred rites benevolent attend and grant a blameless life and a blessed end. They kind of screwed up that translation a little bit, but you could see all of these different Saturnian qualities that aren't really talked about. You get all the death, but you don't get any of the rebirth. You get all the end, but you don't understand that this is the springing forth of something new. That was the original purpose of Kronos. It's like he's the root of all of these different beings. So it's a very different perspective than what a lot of people have when it comes to Kronos. And I think having that perspective of death and impending doom is sort of where we're at right now, as everybody's in that sort of phase of Kronos consciousness.
That was one of the reasons why I had covered even Marsilio Ficino, but I mean, this was a while ago. It would have been more fitting if I dropped it now, obviously. But like his thing was like his thing was revolutionary kind of at the time. That yes, there is the death, but then there's the rebirth. Why isn't anybody focusing on that? Everybody's just like the death. I think he even said to the point to where it's like it's morbid that all we're gonna just remember is a motherfucker basically nailed on a cross. Like what? That's morbid. Like, there's nothing beyond that, dude. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
And then to not know the esoteric symbolism behind all, the crown of thorns and 3 days in the tomb, everything I talk about on my show, with the mystery schools and whatnot, I'm sure we'll be talking about tomorrow morning. People turn a blind eye to that, to just focus on the exoteric, because anything esoteric is demonic, right?
And here's the thing. They had to shoehorn so much symbolism into that whole death and rebirth phenomenon that they call it 3 days in the tomb. Friday night to Sunday morning is a day and a half, right? So they're saying 3 days, and it's like, wait a second, well, actually, 3 days not is
not, I don't think, in the physical. You know what I mean? The 3 days.
It's the symbol that they had to shoehorn in there because of the three significance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I got you.
Who even knows what the fuck days even means? I mean, that could be a whole other thing in itself.
Someone wants to step up.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I was like,
what's up? You want to come on?
I was like, since when does the show just throw links out for people? I didn't know we did that yet. I don't know that was
there's always things.
Yeah, I was. You're nicer than me. I was ignoring it.
I mean, I don't know. This person wants.
I was like, first time I've seen you here. Sure, fucking jump on. Come on.
No.
Dude, that might be interesting, having a call-in show with the Occult Rejects.
I would risk that more actually than somebody coming up. On
yeah. It's not that we don't want you on. It's just that we've never done that.
Yeah, I just don't do that. Yeah.
And so, this isn't. And this is Nick. Nick.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it real. You could be fucking crazy. I have no idea what you're gonna say.
Dude, you want to come on to Gods of the Morning Wood in the morning? You call in. I think we're about to start doing call-ins on that show. It's my Patreon show that I stream live Saturday mornings, and it goes private Saturday evening. But it's the Commonwealth. I forgot. Hold on. The Secret Commonwealth of Elves. If you were watching at the beginning,
they're really determined. You have to give them that.
And we found the translation that's not in the Old English, so you don't have to translate the F to the S and all that stuff. But then we're also reading the mysteries of the Druids, aka the Veil of Isis, and W. Winwood Reed, he wrote it from an unbiased point of view. He's not, he's not a pagan or a Christian. So he, I think he may have been agnostic maybe. But it's a good book. And he's talking about euhemerism, right? Which is like the Christianization of ancient texts, right? Headless.
Right. Well, euhemerism is both. So euhemerism would be like making a person
explain
from
it to
history.
me so I can understand it, because I have to talk about it tomorrow or read about it.
It's kind of like apotheosis, right?
Okay.
So you're lifting up a person from history up to divine status. So instead of apotheosis, which I sort of associate more with within the lifetime of the person, euhemerism would be way after their death. You would be lifting them up to a divine status.
Okay. I understand.
And that's right. That's what the saints would be. All the saints would be a type of euhemerism, because they're taking a person's life and they're lifting it up as a divine example for everybody else.
Gotcha. Yeah, I thought I don't know what it refers to in the book, but
Asclepius was a real guy, and they euhemerized him after his death because he was such a good gifted healer. And they did so by saying, oh, well, Zeus was actually so jealous of the fact that he would bring people back from death that he had to kill him, so that he couldn't do that anymore. But he was so well respected and so well loved that he got his own place in the stars. And he was given immortality through the memory. And so that euhemerism sort of survives with the asteroid Asclepius, which what's his name? The sleeping prophet. I don't know why I always blank on his name, but there's fuck. It starts with the E. Sleeping prophet.
I know who you're talking about. Fuck, I can't. Yeah, sleeping prophet. I know.
Right, he was born
Edgar Casey.
Edgar Casey. There we go.
Yeah.
I don't know why I
That
blanked.
guy.
Edgar Casey was born.
He was a sickly boy, wasn't he?
He was, until he developed these powers, and then it sort of started coming out of his neck. Right?
Dude, it's like Credo Mutwa. He was deathly ill until he moved back to Africa, and they put him in shaman school, and he became a Sangoma. And then he's just chilled in caves with like these statues. Dude, I did some deep, like some little watch parties back in the day on Grey Pill, where we watched these Credo videos of him sitting in this cave presenting these statues of these different like beings and stuff, and talking about them. It's fascinating. He was friends with David Icke, so maybe, there was I don't think he was disingenuine. I think, because he was a shaman, right? This was a spiritual practice to him. It wasn't anything to play with or grift on or joke about, I think he may have even had to eat a human hand to become this Sangoma in this Zulu tribe. Yeah, dude. It's pretty weird shit. But he had these encounters with these creatures. And he talks about the first creatures on Earth being of like whale and dolphin kind of, that kind of being, or whatever you want to call that.
Cetaceans?
Yeah. Something to that. So, and, that's, I don't know, but there's a lot of similarities there with what he talks. I love what he talks about. He talks about two parts to the soul and all this stuff, how one moves on, and then there's this part of you that stays here, and then, I don't know. It's a great book that he has. It's called Zulu Shaman.
Oh,
right. Well, this is something that comes with a lot of the Piscean age too. By having this immortal struggle between good and evil, you lose the parts of the soul. Your soul can only be wholly one thing or the other, and it's going to one place or the other. So there's no more separation of the soul under the Piscean age, right? Yeah. This concept of separation of souls, you see this all over Egyptian literature. It's a little bit obscure within the Greek literature, but they still have some in there. But then once you get into the Piscean age and Christianity, the soul becomes one solid unit. It is no longer divided up into different places. So especially when it comes to giving birth to children, they would say that part of your soul moves on with your children and moves on into the future that way, and then part of your soul passes on into the underworld or goes into the afterlife. Well, you don't really get that, and you actually have to get rid of kind of the concept of reincarnation with the Piscean age philosophies as well, because that actually destroys some of this duality when it comes to good and evil, because now, part of your soul could be punished and another part could be blessed. We can't do that anymore because there is only one person. It's a full unit, and everything you do cannot be broken down into what you do. It has to be labeled with a metaphysical thing that makes you all good or all evil, when we know that not to be true. That's just, nobody's all good and all evil. Most people, at least that are interested,
and
people that care
many
about
people, we have an unconscious aspect that might be highly negative and even self-destructive. And then we have, our overt mask, if you will, as psychologists might put it. And I think what you just laid down, Headless, is kind of like the esoteric understanding of the hermaphrodite, bringing those two forces together. The forces aren't this perverse physicality that gets interpreted, and now it's not an external thing, it's an internal thing, right? Of
many
of
such
this,
cases.
This hermetic or hermaphroditic alchemy is internal and unconscious. As Jung put it, every man has his anima and every woman has his animus. And bringing those two forces together is super powerful, abstractly or otherwise. I wanted to say too that there's a kung fu expression that says, one sickness as a youth, long life. No sickness as a youth, short life. And the lesson, there's many stories about really profound martial artists too.
I was so sick as a youth, dude. I was so sick.
And the lesson we get out of that is, I gotta keep my ish together, right? Or I have to do this. They might find a practice that empowers them and keeps them healthy. Often is the story, right? But the idea is that it's counterintuitive, right? You have to. It's the paradox kind of that duality of polarity we mentioned earlier.
Well, the duality of polarity, I think, actually reflects the deeper truth of distributed consciousness. Everybody sort of has the idea that everything has to be one thing or another, but really it's all reflecting off of each other. You can't have a conception of good without the conception of evil. These two things play perfectly together, and they're responses to one another. You can't have, up without a down. All of these things only exist in reflection to each other. That's the distributed nature of reactivity and reflexivity. That's not reflected in monotheism. Everything has to be this way from the beginning, and there's no reflexive actions or things like that. So really, I think, this is an exciting time for philosophy. We've sort of been stagnated on philosophy for a long time, but, now we're starting to get away from the unitary ideals of philosophy and into more of that distributed understanding, which this is where we're getting AI from. That's sort of the philosophical grounding for it.
Well said, sir.
I also have the Orphic hymn to Jupiter. Don't think I'm being anti-Jupiterian here, people, but see if you can actually link some of this stuff to the age of Pisces. All right. So let me start up here. It starts out with,
Hey, is this the Orphic hymn?
Yes. And these were written down in the 2nd century AD. But they go way, way, way back before that. These are just the ones that we have that survived. It says, O Jove, much honor, Jove supremely great, to thee our holy rites we consecrate. So each one of these hymns were part of rites that they considered to be initiations of sorts, right? Our prayers and expiations, King divine, for all things round thy head is exalted shine. Do you guys know the story of Athena?
Vaguely.
Well, okay. Athena was what happened when he was in a shape-shifting contest with his second wife, right? And he transforms into a drop of water, and she has to transform into a drop of water too. And when she transforms into a drop of water, he eats her just to, make sure that she can't actually produce the offspring that are going to unseat him, right? Well, after he eats her, he gets this splitting headache. And Hephaestus, or Ares, I believe, comes up with a hammer and smashes him in the head. And out pops Athena. For all things round thy head is altered shine. This is kind of the idea of the, Gnosticism, or the idea that we live in a simulation. It's all in the noose of Zeus. It's all in the head of the god, right? It's interesting that they're talking about that here. We kind of had that concept, but there's so many different references to the head of Zeus as being sort of like the basis or spiritual point for all existence on the planet. The earth is thine, and mountains swelling high, the sea profound, and all within the sky. The sea profound, and all within the sky. Does that sound like the waters above and the waters below?
Mm.
Saturnian king descended from above, right? Saturnian, meaning he took the seat of his father, Kronos, or Saturn. Magnanimous, commanding, sceptered Jove, right? So obviously this has to do with the,
right?
monotheism right there, right? So he is the solar, sole scepter bearer, all parent principle, and end of all parent, right? He is the parent of everything, right? So this actually goes into a lot of Yahwism too. Whose power almighty shakes this earthly ball. Again, all punishments come from this God. Even nature trembles at thy mighty nod, right? All punishments, right, comes from this God. Loud sounding, armed with lightning, thundering God. Now, lightning obviously transforms into this Aquarian age too. You're going to have lightning coming through the sky as the water is falling from it.
Well, who's also represented as lightning, right? Lucifer, and then you have other deities like Zeus, Thor, Donar, there's the long list, but
right. But essentially, in the midst of El, perfect example. Like thunder gods sort of command this age. Like those are the ones that came into the roots of this, Piscean age, right? Let me see, even nature, no, loud sounding, armed with lightning. And again, in our minds, we're full of lightning. I mean, all of our nerves are connected by electricity. We were in the end of this age was all about electrical devices and electrical engineering. And we're sort of moving away from that into this distributed intelligence things, which is like power is everywhere. Actually, it's not coming from a single source. It can be found absolutely everywhere. Loud sounding, or source of abundance, purifying king. When they would ask for forgiveness from the gods in the ancient Greek days, they would ask it from Jupiter, from Zeus, right? He was the one who would give you the purification. O various formed, from whom all nature springs. There we go, back to that Kronos concept too. Right? There's various forms from whom all nature springs. It's back to the head of Zeus, or the noose of Zeus concept. Propitious, hear my prayer, give me blameless health. Blameless health. So they would also associate illnesses with being guilty of certain things, and then your health would take a dive too. With peace divine and necessary wealth. Necessary wealth. Kind of a contrast, but you can see a lot of the same elements on both the Kronos and the Jupiterian, hymns to these different deities used as an initiation form.
It's interesting. Were most or all the Orphic hymns put to paper, or if you will, or put into legible form around that same time period?
Oh yeah, that was when they were all written down, but they were used in these temples for hundreds of years, and there's lots of different versions of them too, based upon their placement.
That makes sense. I was going to say it's interesting that this time period that you mentioned earlier is around the same time period that they formulated the Septuagint, and that's right before the Piscean age began. So it's almost like they're setting the stage with these textual layouts of programming. I don't want to say programming as if it's a bad thing, but entirely bad thing, but just programming.
Right. Well, SMS brings up an interesting point about baptism big part of the Piscean Age too, because baptism was a very, very old practice before it became solely about, the Jesus concept. This was part of a cleansing process to where the gods would find you blameless. So you would have to do baptism and ritual fasting before you could come into the temples and do things like the Asclepius temple to try and heal yourself through dreams. And again, Edgar Casey, he was the sleeping prophet as he was under a trance. That's when this healer spirit would come out of him and he would diagnose people of their illnesses and try and heal them that way. Very, very Asclepian, and part of the Asclepian temple was having to take ritual baths, having to do ritual baptisms. It was about the number of times you bathed and the number of times that number of days you fasted. But this natural separation between night and day were seen as these tools of counting, tools of creating these different epochs and going into the great year. It's sort of like you add up all of these days into a single great year, and then all of the decisions and all of the choices you make still apply to these symbolic references, right? So there's you can make all the choices you want to that are different, but it's funny because it's still going to have an underlying essence that applies to these different eras and epochs. You can map out. It's not like you can find the finger of God in any of these different epochs or eras, because every single step along the way is going to be a clear, concise problem, reaction, solution idea, right? So all of this stuff makes perfect logical sense, but it all still applies in a very metaphysical concept to the original kind of symbol that you're in. So you can kind of see life on Earth as either ascending or descending along the same lines that are given in these generalized symbolic prophecies, kind of like that's kind of what this whole thing is all about prophecy. Once you know the signs and the symbols, you can prophesy both the good and the bad that can come with those different essences.
Mm-hmm. What happened to Jules?
He's back. He changed his back
up here. No, sorry, dude. My son had walked in. He was riding his bike and he tried to open the garage, but we're not having all that.
Having all that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm in my garage, so.
Oh, that's right. You are, right?
Yeah, always.
That's a studio.
It is.
Yeah.
Till we can try to fix this house up, sell it, and get a bigger house. American dream. But
American dream.
It's a good house.
Well, it's funny that, he brings up the Septuagint, because Septuagint does mean 70, but there were 72 books or 73 books in the original Septuagint. They called it the Septuagint specifically for the numerical properties of 70, right? So they talked about the 70 priests from Israel that contained all of this stuff, all of this knowledge. And these 70 priests were from the 12 tribes. So they're just going through all of this numerological basis for this book, which gives them the ability to say this is the word of God, because back then it was even known that mathematics is the language of God. And we've done a little bit of that on the 777 shows that we do, because it's still part of the same understanding that was around in the classical era. It's like numbers, words, and letters all come to this single language of symbols. And
I forget if it was Tiamat or a different Canaanite iteration of a feminine goddess, but she had 70 children, as the story goes, which I think kind of, again, the 70 back then really kind of hearkened onto all these prophetic, potentially negative, potentially positive things that people were symbolically in line with.
70 had the concept of completion with it back then. I'm not sure if it still has that sort of connotation now, but basically what they would be doing is observing these numbers in relationship to the objects that they represent, and then coming to a conclusion based upon this ideal. So this is where you get isopsephy from. This is where you get all of these different Kabbalistic concepts from. It's this massive compendium of observation going along with the quality of numbers, not just the quantity.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
Right. But I think it's completely lost to us. We don't ascribe any sort of quality to numbers nowadays. But if you look at, statistical mathematics and a lot of these other things, it points to a quality of numbers, right? The quality of numbers is just kind of missing from our society, even though there is certain qualities that I think a lot of people can find. I know I've probably brought it up before, but there's this law. It's called Benford's Law.
Oh, yes, you have. Yeah.
What is that? Like the 369 thing?
It's a little different. So, yeah, let me see if I can
get what you're saying, though, about numbers.
Right. So here's a good example of quality numbers as opposed to quantity, right? So what you got with Benford's Law is that it describes a relative frequency of numbers. So 1 has a relative frequency of 30.1%. So you're going to find a 1 near the front of any number at about 30.1%. And then number 2 comes up at about 17.6%. So if your number that doesn't ascribe to these things, and the more numbers you make up and the more numbers you write down, you can tell whether or not it's a human-made number, because they're not going to know these specific qualities to numbers. So this frequency is going to tell you whether or not somebody's just making up numbers and throwing them on a graph, or whether or not they are naturally occurring. Right? So this is what the IRS uses to find tax cheats. Because if all you're doing is writing down numbers and you don't know Benford's Law, you're going to get caught. They can tell by the frequency that these numbers pop up and in which position. So this descending arc is how they catch you. It implies that there's a quality to numbers that a lot of people don't know about, because we've divorced ourselves from the idea that numbers have a quality to them.
That's wild.
This has been used too to find potentially fraudulent activity in elections too, right?
Absolutely. If the people making up the numbers at the election booth don't follow Benford's Law, you can be assured that, yes, somebody's in there changing around the election totals.
Makes sense.
That's wild shit.
Absolutely. Well, what do you think, guys? That was a great episode. I think we put a lot of information out there.
For sure.
I definitely know a little bit more about the age of Aquarius now. Before, I knew of it, but I never.
It was hippie stuff. It was hippie stuff.
That's all I knew about it. Yeah. Then
I'm hopeful. This is my white pill.
This is a white pill.
Kind of makes sense more about everything that's happening. I don't know. Just I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see what happens with I don't know what's happening on the main stage right now is pretty funny, I think, because it's stuff we've been talking about for a while, and now it's stuff that like the normies or whatever are kind of catching up with, and so it's funny when everyone starts finding out about stuff. And I'm doing my part, dude. Like I said, haven't been streaming a lot lately, so I don't know. I appreciate you guys for having me on tonight.
Oh hell yeah, no, I'm glad you can make it, man. For sure.
Well, I want to say before we close it up, all action proceeds from thought. The way you think about the universe is the way you're going to start behaving and acting. So the cosmology shifting and all the rest of the stuff is going to change the way people around you behave. And I think that thought is being influenced by cosmic forces. you know, and that's sort of where I see these ages and eras coming in, is that these cosmic forces, subtle though they may be, do have an effect on the way people think about the world around them.
Oh yeah. I would even say, I mean, that's even can go to the extreme where somebody's gonna create this whole false reality they live in to begin with.
Which is another problem with the Aquarian age. False realities are going to be everywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty hard trying to keep the gray pill gray lately, but we're, you know, trying to maintain it, you know, try not to get too black pilled. But you got to accept reality. The truth is not comfortable, guys. Truth is not comfortable.
That's a good point.
Well,
but you can learn how to work around what's going on. Obviously, you have a will to live, and like I said, I don't think people need to be discouraged by this, right? I think this is a time for people to learn and to try to expand their consciousness a little bit. Try to, you know, I mean, that's what's helped me. So.
Again, like I say all the time, our reality is 50% inner and 50% outer. And it's when that balance gets out of whack that we start to find out that, you know, maybe we got to take a step back and take a look at ourselves, or look at the situation we're in and see how we can change that. But this is all the reactive, distributed intelligence stuff that's coming out in philosophy now. Is you got to change yourself if you want a better reality. That's part of it.
Yeah.
I would even say, like, you know, even with the way technology is getting, it's, you know, kind of even coming into the age of just information. You know, and eventually you're going to maybe figure out that ideas that you had before were wrong.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, no, you're 100% right, man. No, yeah, when you open new doors and you kind of get these paradigm shifts, right, to where all this new information opens up, and you kind of have to. For me, it's relearning history a little bit. You know, not enough people focus. So I'm gonna be focusing on history, especially like Bronze Age history here this next year. So a lot of that philosophy, things I haven't dived into too much. So gotta expand a little bit. We'll still be talking about conspiracies and the esoteric, occult symbolism, obviously, but you know,
I want to
like
get into the
your ideas change, and so, you know, your rhetoric changes, and some people don't agree. You know, some people, and that's fine. I wish everyone well on their own path, but everyone knows, especially if you've been watching my show from early on, that it's been like a spiritual journey for me as well, you know, and people can go and you can watch from episode 1, you can kind of witness it.
I would even say that I mean, even for me on this show,
I'm very transparent with my audience, to my detriment. I don't know. You know, you can equate that with autism or something. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really care. I just like to talk to people about what I've learned about. And that's what the show started as. You know, I was like, I'm going to go crazy if I don't start talking to people about these things. And that goes back to questioning everything, right? Like now people, you can't go outside of this one box, right? You can't question religion. You can't question the Bible. You can't question Jesus. You can't question like the where everything originates from. And like I've been talking about a lot lately, the lens in which history has been written and presented to us. And I think that's very important. I think that's very important, especially, you know, I mean, 10 years back, I mean, I was probably an atheist. I don't think I was even considered myself like an esoteric Christian or whatever I used to call myself. But, you know, I never would have thought I would have learned the things that I've learned now. It's incredible. You know, what, like I said earlier, you open these doors, what opening a couple doors can do for you.
For sure.
It's helped me out as far as being a father, you know, being a husband, as a man, and dealing with my own trauma and shit happening in my life, my father-in-law being murdered, all that shit, you know, this knowledge and this kind of learning how to, you know, be the spiritual person who I am, right? Because I talk about it a lot on my show. It has helped me. It has helped me. And I wouldn't be talking about this esoteric knowledge and all this stuff if it didn't help me, right? If it harmed me in any way or didn't bring anything good to my life, I'd be like, hey, yeah, you may need to stay away from this. I wouldn't be grifting it. Just like I'm not going to grift anything to anyone. You know what I mean? Not going to do it for money. I'm not going to do it for subscribers or followers or anything. Anyway, sorry, Nick. Didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
No, I think you actually made a really good point. It's something I kind of want to like piggyback.
Good closing to a show, maybe.
Is that I feel when it comes to occultists, or at least the people that are on this show, and I think it's actually more than half to begin with anyway. But a lot of us are actually just like trying to figure out like God, how to be a better person, creation. Like that's on our minds almost all the time. And then you have some person who plays to be a Christian once they hit record. And they are some of the biggest pieces of shit in the world. And it's like they're just saying that we're fucked up. And it's like, no, we actually think about probably in a certain sense the same God as you're just looking at fucked up. More than you ever do. We actually judge ourselves more than you fucking do. Like, it's just so fucking it's backwards, man.
Yeah, there's been a lot of rhetoric on the internet lately. That you see of like, this end time stuff going on. And I think people really need to take a step back and look at the information, where it's coming from. And then, take a look at this people's rhetoric towards you. Right? What they think about you. And I just, like I told Headless, or when we were talking, the same people that were supporting Trump this last however long, and yeah, I voted for him 12 years ago or whatever, and then I didn't vote because I'm like, it's all selected. And then this last time I was like, yeah, no, he's a Zionist piece of shit. Like, I'm not voting for that motherfucker, But dude, they're the same people that are going to be pushing this Antichrist narrative, that he is fulfilling suddenly, right? Like and there's been people that have called this. I'm not going to say any names. They're not very liked among, our community or whatever, like the conspiracy, whatever you want to call it. And that comes with speaking the truth, right? But they've been right about some things. People that I don't agree with on everything, still got to admit they've been right about some things. And they've called that, Trump was going to be this, this hero to Israel, and then he was going to withdraw from the war, right? And it would fulfill this prophecy. And it's like, well, like it's uncanny, man, but.
Yeah,
I mean, I had to,
you know a lot of these people that talk about this online, and yeah, dude, they're shadow banned and kicked off of everything, and they're the ones being canceled and the ones speaking out against it because, like I've said 1,000 times, religion is used as a cudgel against specifically white Europeans, and then everyone else, but it is used against us because people don't understand the esoteric, and that goes back to what else I was talking about. And these are rants or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I don't care. But
no, it's well
if you
said.
don't understand the esoteric,
man,
how can you present the exoteric? Sorry, you think it's kind of like a hollow. Like I see it as something that's hollow. Yeah.
Go ahead, Ethan. Yeah, because I wanted to say something.
I just wanted to add that throughout recorded time, people have been hiding behind this shield of religion, mainly monotheism, the three main forms of monotheism with all their variations. People hide behind these religions and do dastardly things. When do people hide behind exploring spirituality, occultism, and esotericism? It's an exposure. It's a
and
revealing.
We call out the ones that are weird or they do shit that's we call them out.
And I'm just saying,
know that
it's by its format. This religions hide these diabolical people, the way they behave, whereas esotericism and internal arts and all these related things, they're about exploring and sharing and de-occultism, if you will. Whereas religion, it's a hide behind a shield and then do dastardly things with the people that are on the same tip. You know?
Well, just to restate and reiterate, I would say that authenticity doesn't mean that you're always right, but it does mean that you are always trying to stay true to yourself by aligning yourself with truth.
I just always stay just trying to, if I'm not completely 100% and I can't give you I'm going to be like, dude, just you tell me. You know what I mean? I present this to you. You go do your research and come tell me. Or take what I presented and look at it and see like, hey, this, go with what, I don't know. There's always this other, there's always something we've learned or some kind of indoctrination from the past that sticks with us throughout life. And whenever it seems that we try to figure out some truth that it kind of like hits us and it's like, well, no, what about this? You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, I have to question that. And it's like, well, yeah, you should question it, but then if you question it too much, maybe you start doubting it, but like I said, that's when I say, look at things from an unbiased, objective kind of point of view or lens, and especially when you start learning about history. And it's incredible. You got to go relearn everything.
Yeah.
And you don't, you still keep these things in mind that you've learned in the past, but you now know more, right? Or you're learning more. So.
Well, coping is a type of scapegoating that uses the innocent to protect the guilty.
Yeah. Shout out to everyone on their path.
That's right.
Stay true to yourself, know thyself, and question fucking everything. I mean that. Like I said earlier, the truth is not comfortable once you figure it out. But then you eventually you learn to accept it, and you learn how to navigate through it because you have the knowledge to be able to do that, right? So
yeah, even with like the history of stuff, I'll start coming out. It's going to be quite obvious after a few weeks that I'm particularly pointing at Christianity.
And that's okay,
man. All these shows start dropping, but it's like these people don't realize where the fuck they came from at all. Not at all. They let the fucking Catholic Church tell them what to fucking believe. You're still under somebody's fucking thumb and a slave.
About that. But
and not this, and this is a whole other thing that I want to get into too. And I'll take the Catholic Church and the Christian Church. Me showing up on fucking mass once a week and me saying some other fucking dude died for me, so I'm clear now. That is such a fucking weak pussy fucking excuse to get into heaven. You did fucking nothing. You did nothing. You didn't even change who the fuck you are. And you want to come at occultists who are people that fucking sit there and do shadow work and actually pray to God to fucking change. Oh, yeah, this guy died, so I can still be a fucking piece of shit, cheat on my wife, and use bots on fucking on Twitter and lie to all of my fucking listeners. I'm lying to all of them because that's the Christian thing to do with bots. It's fucking insane. These people are fucked in the head. And they have a microphone in front of them and they're fucking putting cancer into people's minds.
Well, there is dangerous rhetoric out there. And that's when I say, look at the stuff that Alex Jones, Candace Owens, all of them are presenting. And you see some of these other people's, it's the same type of, talking points. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Don't you want to question that? These people, we know that they're full of shit. Or you should know. There may be people that watch my show that do trust InfoWars and the daily whatever, or whatever they're at, or she used to work for the Daily Wire. Someone who is right. I don't agree with him because I think I think he may be gay. I don't know. I think his rhetoric, Nick Fuentes, he is right about some of these things. He is right about some of these things. I think the Groyper thing's a little weird. Everyone has their following. I get it. I have my following. There are some Groypers out there that don't represent them too well, I guess. That's, I don't know. I think I may have some Groypers that watch my show. So shout out to those guys. Thank y'all. He's been right about some things. I say the same thing about Adam Green, man. Don't agree with him on everything. He's not a very spiritual guy, but he seems to, he seems to fucking, he's like, I'm going to ask questions about this. And I'm like, yeah, I feel you. Like, I'd ask questions about that too,
I think he'd just do more service if his approach was a little bit nicer and didn't look like he hated everybody.
Yeah. Well, you got people like Gnostic Informant, who goes and debates a lot of people, a lot of heavy hitters. I think he debated Wes Huff, right?
Yeah, but
he's the only guy who's debated Wes Huff and like probably come out. I mean, it was like a draw or whatever. I don't know if they got to any conclusion. I don't think I watched the whole thing, but he's a very informative guy. And that's someone who has looked, he used to belong. He used to, I think how he described it, he used to like have the keys to the church, right? And he was the first guy there, like 3 days a week. And then he studied and learned about the ancient past, learned real history, not what's presented and given to us, because we question that, right? And then he, he's a smart fucking guy. Dude fucking kills it. I mean, he's very inspirational as a content creator. Makes you that dude. What's his name? I'm not trying to glaze people. I don't do that shit. But the people who I haven't been podcasting as much lately or streaming, but I have been. During the day, I listen to things. That dude, Derek from Myth Vision. I think they all do stuff together, but he has a lot of good takes too. He's doing something really funny on X right now. He's following a new religion every day, I think, and doing like this AI post about it's fucking. He was saying like something like, "Well, I was up all night crying for Tammuz, weeping for Tammuz." And I tried to practice ancient Sumerian, and I just or whatever. I don't know what it didn't work out. It's funny because he did the same thing with Christianity and Islam and Judaism and all this stuff. It's real funny. Just guys out there who are, asking real questions, and actually, people don't want to have them on. People don't want to really debate them because I don't know if they're scared to, or they just don't want to, they don't want to question anything. Like I said, man, the truth is not comfortable. It never is. Never was for me. This whole show, episode 5 of Gray Pilled is Yahweh a dragon? And it's me and Cody from Oddfellows talking about, well, in the tabernacle, he's described as having like smoke coming out of his nostrils or something, or like something weird. Like he was filling up this tent with smoke and he needed all these animals. And it's like, why does he need to eat all these animals?
Guy had the munchies. He was stoned.
fucking dragon, dude.
Oh, dude, it's so true. You know what?
Tiamat.
Canna is
lineage of this.
Yeah,
it may all be
cannabosum. It's literally cannabis. So all of these fumigations inside the temple where they're talking about on Passover, we've got to put in 6 times the dose of cannabosum. That's why they had these ropes tied to their legs, is because they were getting in there and fumigating themselves to total retardation. And if they fell over, they just drag them out.
Wow. but look, I've said this before as well. I don't want to discourage anyone if they're on the right spiritual path, whatever that is, and you have you healthy life and you're living well and your family is good and I mean, more power to you. But I just put out there what I've experienced, and what I experience. I'm, like I said, very open with my audience. So, but anyway, I know it's getting late, guys. Sorry, I know I keep taking it off.
Right. Can I plug my my debate
I haven't been on.
Yeah, go for it.
So I've got a debate going on with Eric Clausen tomorrow about Platonism, about whether or not Platonism was a positive influence in ancient Greece or a negative one. So that's going to be at 1 p.m. Central Time, and I hope he brings a bunch of his bros along, because going against one guy who's a Platonist, that's not enough. I need like 6.
Who is it? Who is it?
Eric Clausen. He's like one of the biggest Platonists on Twitter. And I got all of the receipts too. I got other friends who are like, you've got to put down these Platonists. So it's going to be a fantastic time. I hope you guys can join.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. We'll check that out after Jules' show.
Yeah. I'll post the link to you guys if y'all want to come join us.
Yeah, I want Julian to be the moderator if he could.
I'll try, man. I may have to. Well, I'm taking my kids tomorrow to this trying to do this Hand of Sabazius deep dive, and I want to do it on Patreon because it's actually like it's I don't know. It's what the fuck's going on? No, don't allow.
What?
Dude, people are trying to sign into my my fucking device.
Oh wow, that's weird.
People are trying to hack me. I gotta get a new VPN, or I have to update my VPN. Let me do this real fast.
Oh, that's awesome. I just read that about the crows. That's great.
Fuck me, dude. What is this? What's happening?
You got a black stepson, Nick.
So in the chat's like, so what do you teach your kids? Christianity? And I was like, I have no kids. I don't teach anybody anything.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you in a second. Hold on. Let me do this real fast. Whoever's asking.
And then so Frada said he's my black stepson.
Dude, I hope I hope I remember this.
I'm glad
All right,
people call him Jay Dyer.
Let me Jay Dyer. Is he the one who wrote that? No, he's not an occultist, is he?
He is not. He's the one who says that everything in Hollywood is Satan and Dixon demons. He's
Okay. All right. Yeah. I think
He's
I've
pretty
seen
gay.
him on God, it's this one I can't remember which show it is, but it's like they're always, whenever I see their tweets, I just fucking cringe when I listen to whatever they're saying. I'm pretty sure we've shared it in the group chat before, actually, this show. I just can't remember the name.
So hostile hyper.
I'm about to win this debate.
Good to see you.
See that?
Hyperborean.
You see that? I won. I
Like
won the
that.
debate. That's Jay Dyer right there. Fallacy.
He's very pious and just like, I don't know. I don't like the attitude. It's not needed.
And
not
there's a lot
wanted.
of Orthodox people who are like, he's just bringing Protestantism to Orthodoxy. That's not right.
I don't remember, dude.
Why can't I remember this show that I always see?
He's always on Alex Jones too.
I was a fan of his stuff that he did on Gaia, the whole where he was decoding the movies or whatever. That was cool. I think that was cool.
That stuff's fun, though.
It was good when I was.
Yeah, we got to do Mother soon, man. We got to do Mother on your show.
We do.
Have you guys watched all of The Boys?
No.
I'd love to do an occult breakdown of that show. That's on Amazon Prime with all the superheroes
We
that are
have to
killing
watch the
people.
whole season.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. I'll check
Good
it out,
show.
and then I'll watch it.
Tell me, I'm doing Patreon. I'm setting up Patreon shows. I got a couple other people coming on, and yeah, I'll post about it in the Patreon. But yeah, Nick's coming on. We're gonna watch Mother.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be
Do
fun.
like an occult breakdown of it.
Oh, so much of that fucking movie. It's insane.
Doing Sword in the Stone with somebody, and then
Oh, that is great.
yeah.
You guys did the Secret of Nim one day.
Yes, dude,
If you're
mystery
into cartoons.
guest, and then someone from Metamystics is coming on. I'll tell you.
Well, you know who actually wanted? Who hit me up? They think they asked for the end of July 24th or some shit. They wanted to come on. I think it's a Friday. This will be at 10 o'clock our time. Actually, I think it was. If we do it at my time, Cult of Conspiracy wanted to do like a thing with all of us.
Nice.
Okay.
I mean, I found that interesting considering.
Well,
You want to talk about authenticity, right? I mean, those guys sacrificed a lot for authenticity.
It's now Jacob and his wife.
Yeah. Well,
who I had them on a it was a few days before Christmas. We talked. I didn't really agree with him on a lot. I didn't say I wanted to talk about what we agreed more on than what we disagreed on because it was around Christmas, and I didn't want to debate. So I was kind of just like, and so it was what it was. But
well, I know they've done a lot of work on the Epstein files, so I was going to kind of push that topic so we could kind of stay off of religion and occultism.
Well, yeah, no, you can try. Yeah,
we will.
Because I don't know. Some people are of the belief that it everything comes from the Bible and then spread outward, and that's these cultures are over 10,000 years old. The Bible in anything only dates back, and people can interpret it how they want, but statistically, from what is presented, it only dates back to 6,000 years. So, and that's what they say in it. But as far as when it was written, we know the Bible was written until what 1500
No.
AD.
No. 120 to 167 BC.
Okay, so like the old canon, like the Old Testament canon, or
Yeah,
whatever.
that was the Old Testament, and then the New Testament was written around the 120s, 130s, but they said that it was
About
existing
1,000
before
years
that.
later.
Yeah. Well, no,
It wasn't given to the people till 1500, right?
Right. Yeah. Nobody could read it until
okay. No one could read it till 1500.
Right.
That's when it was given, right? That's because it was being read to people,
right,
by people who possibly hated you. So
No, I'm telling you again, even when I dropped this show eventually, between the first few hundred years AD, there's so many different beliefs going on in Christianity. It's fucking ridiculous.
The Indo-European,
we shouldn't even be having kids,
dude. The Indo-European steppe people, and like, I mean, we're not gonna get into it, but Godan, and it goes back thousands and thousands of years, man. It's so ancient, and yeah, gonna do some deep dives on the Pontic steppe and all that. It's gonna be fun. Gonna have some people. Gonna try to have some people on. I've hit some people up. They don't hit me back. It's on them, but yeah. Like I said earlier, a bunch of new topics on the show that we're going to be getting into because I've become conspiracy fatigued. Now, if someone can come on my show with a good deep dive.
Oh yeah, that's how I am too. Yeah, for me to waste my time on that.
But I will not put my audience or myself in an echo chamber. I will not do it.
Oh, we didn't even talk about Ganymede.
I try not to. Yeah, I mean, dude. Who knows? I mean, I'm sure we're all in some sort of echo chamber. But as far as what the controlled echo chamber, what's being pushed in the mainstream, if you see right now, they're starting to talk about Enoch and all that stuff. It's becoming popular.
Whoa.
What do we know? Well, yeah, they present truth. They have to some karma. Yeah, but it's uncanny, isn't it, that it's happening at this time when everything politically is happening?
Right.
Prophecy is in the title. So, and we did bring that up earlier. I think that's very dangerous. I think it's very dangerous.
Like Revelations 9:11.
Dude,
I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna leave it there.
And I talked about this, and we can end soon because I know Nick probably wants to get out of here, and I won't shut the fuck up.
I'm actually starving.
Okay. Well, what I was going to say is in every wartime, the church, from my understanding, has always been in this kind of frantic, like, this is Revelations, this is this book, this verse, like, this country is doing this, and all the way back to the Revolutionary War, probably before. And it's kind of just like, this is a reoccurring thing that keeps happening. It's just a rebrand of the end times, right? We're not in the end times. This is the beginning of a new age.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something that they're trying, like with the fear paradigm, they're trying to put everyone into this state of mind. And a lot of this rhetoric I see is just now, like I said, it's on the borderline of being dangerous to certain peoples, obviously. But
yeah, well, it's good for their business. Gets people interested.
And hey, I mean, I'm all for the beheading of we're on YouTube, so grapist, and not those grapists, but everyone knows it's an inside joke. Grape pilled, obviously. My audience likes to make jokes. Pederasses and shit should be taken in the street, hung, drawn, and quartered publicly in front of the entire town. I believe. I've vouched for this since the beginning of Grape Pilled. Not overly though. I think people that I don't know. I think the people that are out there actually catching them, that's actually cool. I mean, they're doing it for content, so that's kind of shitty. But it's cool that they're doing it, I guess. It's always kind of been for content. That's what Chris Hansen was, right?
Yeah, it's mutually beneficial. I'm totally in favor of mutually beneficial justice.
Absolutely. Okay, that's okay. So mutually beneficial justice is a very good way to put it. So,
no, I was in prison with a dude who was on Chris Hansen twice.
He did not die in there. Like
no.
People, nobody knew. Nobody pulled his papers, huh?
Well, they knew. He was. Yeah. Well, he worked in the kitchen, so he had value.
He had some sugar.
yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why.
But
went
no,
to the
dude.
shit.
I mean, I definitely think obviously those people should be condemned completely and ostracized. Not even like in Norse, in that society, like up in the north in ancient times, they were called a scorgamore or whatever, and it was like an outsider or someone, and they were branded usually with a certain mark. I don't know the mark,
Oh,
but
shit.
I think the people who are doing this right now should definitely be, like I said, in so many words, hung, drawn, and quartered. Go look it up if you're not familiar with that ancient. It's an ancient, maybe a Norman or Saxon technique.
Practice.
Yeah.
Well, I want to address Kill Your Egregores right here. So he says, when do you guys think the age of Aquarius began? I think we're still in the transitional phase until 2100. So we haven't even fully gone into it yet. Like it's very gray when it comes to when that line is, but I think we're still in the transitional phase right now. So it's still happening.
Almost like the alchemical process between both.
Exactly.
I still need to do a full alchemy episode. I have the notes for it. I just need some people to do it with. Maybe we could do it on this show. Get some guest on to do it. Maybe I'll do a whole series on alchemy.
I could send you a whole bunch of people that I've already covered, and you can take a look at them and shit.
Yeah.
I've actually covered a lot of alchemists on this show. A lot of them.
Julian, you reminded me of how awful some political and religious systems combined can be. And in the news recently, Israel made it so I believe that murderers that are Palestinians get hung, and murderers that are Jews they don't face that punishment.
They face a punishment at all?
Yes, they will. I believe so. But
no, okay, well.
It's sure that's true too. But the whole punishment is racial based there, and now includes hanging.
Because before they were killing the Palestinians, there were Jews in Israel that were protesting
still
because they
doing
wanted to take advantage of them before killing them.
Wow,
and,
that was during.
They had them in trailers and stuff. Yeah, it was pretty sick.
Yeah, no, that is still happening too. Every once in a while, I'm sure that there's a charge against someone for something, but
Really?
overtly, they are literally advocating the hanging of people without any what do you call it, like redemption or acquittal or any like
possibility of parole
type of thing. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, this is a great episode. I'm glad we had so many people join us. This was
did.
This is
It was good comments too.
Thank you everybody for coming and hanging out. Thank you again, Meat Cavern, for that donation on Rumble, dude. I appreciate you, brother.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess we're good to go, right? We'll wrap this up.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Yeah, that was really great. Thank you, Headless, for that idea. I know it was a couple of weeks ago, but we finally made it happen. I guess canceled, so we're able to squeeze it in. I thought that was an awesome talk. I think there was a lot of shit said in this one show, and I had a great time hanging out with you guys tonight. So thank you, Headless. Thank you, Ethan. And Jules, it was awesome that you were able to make it. I know you got a tight schedule, but thanks for making it, man.
Yeah.
And everybody in the chat, that is what's up. And check out Headless's thing tomorrow at 1:00. He's actually got me very interested in this. And if you got time, come and hang out with me and Jules tomorrow. We'll be reading some shit.
9:00, Gods of the Morning Wood. Yeah.
Yes.
Come hang out with us.
Sunday, you get to see Ethan on Headless's show for the Sunday Trialogue. So
Sunday Trialogues. It's going to be a banger.
And I'll be doing some other show this weekend as well, guys, for everyone. Either that Hand of Sabazius and Thracian Horseman deep dive, or we spun the movie Wheel. So the Wheel provided an answer for it, and we will watch the movie.
Nice.
Not on YouTube though, guys. So y'all get a Rumble account. Go follow me on Rumble and YouTube, and go over to graypill.printify.me for merch. Put some cool shit up. Gonna put some more cool shit up this weekend. I have to go to the dentist Monday, so I may do a show Monday too. Who knows? And then next weekend I'll have a bunch of shows going on. Greyhorn Pagan soon.
Oh, nice.
As well as having a couple people book with
Like-
me. I'll be announcing those. Yeah. I may go on for the rune reading with him and Zarelath as well, with Stein and Zarelath. I think that'd be cool. So,
Nice.
but anyway, yeah, man, thank y'all for having me on. It's always good coming and hanging out with you guys. And yeah, we did some ranting, and I think we let everyone know how we felt. But I think that's good, man. Like I said, we're
Been a minute since we have.
we're all pretty pretty transparent dudes, and like I said, kind of to my detriment at times, but it is what it is. Okay, next week, you're in there. But yeah.
All right, Jules. Thank you. And that is the end. That is the end of another Occult Rejects. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.